Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Gina, and today we have some work to do. Remember this? Do you remember seeing this? I showed you guys this box of propagations. These are propagations I made couple months ago, I would say. It's probably been about 2 months. And I put them in this bin, propagating in moss, and it is, as you can see, more than time. It's more than ready to be potted up. All right, so let me show you what exactly is in this bin. So it is mostly Syngonium in here. There are, I believe, 3 different types of Syngonium. We have some Syngonium panda. That would be this one. I think that's mostly Syngonium panda in there. I have a Syngonium batik, a few propagations of that. And then I have to dig because they are really low. It's kind of hard to see, but right here, this one right here, I know it's difficult to see right there. That is Syngonium frosted heart. And then there is some Philodendron silver sword, which is right there. There's a few silver swords. Here's silver sword right here. There's a few in there. So yeah, we need to pot these up. And I have actually been, let me adjust this. All right, so I'm gonna be working a little bit kind of far from you guys, but that is just so I can get everything in the picture here. So now the reason I have this bin full of propagations is because, so for instance, my Philodendron silver sword, I clumsily knocked my mother plant over and the stem snapped on it, so I was forced to chop it up. And this plant was so gorgeous. It was like taller than me, standing taller than me. It was like almost to the top of my IKEA Millsbow tall cabinet. It was really tall. And I broke it. And actually right here next to me, here is the original, this is the original plant right here. So this would be, I chopped it right here. Well, actually, this is where it broke. It snapped. Let me get closer. Right there is where it snapped. And then this is the new growth point that came out of there, that came out of the stem. So I have this, I still have this, and then I have a top cut, which I put into, let me grab it. I put it into water, and it has just been sitting back here since that tragic day. This is the top cut. This is what you call your top cut. You can see the leaves are huge, and it has a lot of roots. This one is ready to be potted up, but I just haven't done it. Just haven't done it. It is in my plan, but I'm not really like in a rush to do it. So you have the bottom and you have the top. So you have all the stem in between, and it was filled with large, beautiful leaves. And so I chopped each one, and I actually, because there were so many pieces, I just didn't have like the space in my grow tent for those propagations. So what I did was I decided, well, I'm just gonna remove the leaves and just take the nodes, the cuttings with the node, and stick them into a box of moss. And yeah, and they sprouted new growth, and that's what we're working with here. So, and basically it was the same thing with the Syngoniums. Well, actually with the Syngoniums, so the frosted heart, it was like yellowing leaves, like low, close to the soil. It's like it was gradually losing leaves. They were turning yellow, so I knew there was something going on with the plant. I wasn't sure if it was root rot or if it was it just needed a bigger pot. Well, it turns out it just needed a bigger pot. But anyway, instead of like repotting it, because it had lost so many lower leaves and it had quite a bit of space of bare stem, I decided to just chop up that entire plant. And I stuck those cuttings in here, and I removed the leaves, and the part of the stem that still had leaves, I removed those leaves and just stuck those nodes right into this sphagnum moss. And then the panda, I can't remember what was going on with the panda. I don't think anything was going on with the panda. It was just getting kind of big. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to chop it up. Stuck a bunch in there, and I think the same with the batik. They were just getting really big. And Syngoniums are like that. They grow so fast. And I feel like I'm continuously just like chopping, chop, 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 because otherwise Syngoniums would take over my house. I have no doubt about that. So that's what we're doing. That's what's going on. So I had asked you guys, so we have something to talk about while we're doing this. If you wanted to like do a Q&A, and I asked you to give me some questions or topics to talk about, and you guys did that. So I have some things we can talk about while we're doing this. All right, so these are, like I said, these are all in moss, and they'll be going into soil. So I hope I think I have all the supplies I'm gonna need to do this. So I made up a big, giant bin of soil. That would be this. This is just like my aeroid mix. And there actually was a question about what soil I use and like what amendments I add to my soil. I'm pretty sure I remember that. So we'll just like start right there with that question. Right here, okay. So it was someone so this was Sage Willow Lisa. She asked quite a few questions, but one of the questions was, which plant medium do you use the most? Do you make amendments to your soil? Okay, so okay. Skip the plant medium I use the most. Let's go to this question, do you make amendments to your soil? And the answer is yes. So my favorite soil to use is the Ocean Forest. It's the Fox Farms Ocean Forest soil, and I've always used it. And the reason I used it is because my husband was using it for growing some things, and he had the soil, so I just kind of stuck with it. It works well. It has a good reputation. I like it. So this is mostly Fox Farm Ocean Forest soil. And then I do amend it with pumice. And I prefer pumice over like perlite, because for one, perlite is so dusty and it always makes me sneeze, and it also affects my cats. The cats, if I use perlite around them, they'll be sneezing for like several days. It really irritates them. So I try to stay away from perlite. If I have to use it, I'll mix it outdoors, but I don't notice that issue with pumice. And pumice is just like soft rock, I guess. This is what the pumice looks like. This is the size I use. It's a nice size. I like it chunkier size, bigger size. And then I also add orchid bark to the mix. And I found one on Amazon, and I'll try to link all this stuff for you. It'll be in the description, but I really like these. These are like orchid bark chips. So they're not huge chunks of orchid bark. They're just kind of nice little pieces. So, and I add that, and then I do add a little bit of horticulture charcoal to the mix, which I try not to add too much, because there was a time where I was running low on pumice, so I added more of the charcoal to the mix, and I noticed those pots, they were really, that charcoal kind of breaks down, and it was just kind of muddy from the charcoal. It was like black and muddy, so I learned don't use too much charcoal. So I just put a little bit of charcoal in there. And I think that's it. I used to add worm castings to the mix, but I've been out of worm castings, and I know the ocean forest mix soil already has worm castings in it, so I really don't need to add that. So yeah, and it saves me some money. So yeah, if you start with a really good soil to begin with, it can, even though the soil is a little more expensive, it kind of saves you a little bit in the end, because you don't have to quite, like you don't have to add the worm castings, because it's already a nice rich soil. So yeah, so that is my soil, and that is the answer to that question. Okay, so let's get this out of the way, get the soil out of the way for now, and this is the fun part. This will be the fun part for me. So I am going to pull, I have this big giant potting mat. I think I got this one when I was repotting a fiddle leaf fig, so I needed a lot of protection for the floor. So anyway, the fun part will be pulling. We're gonna pull all this out of here. So I think it's gonna come out in like a sheet, because look at the bottom. Can you see those roots? So this is pretty much, these are all like jumbled together. Like I'm sure all those roots are growing together. So here, here is our, it's almost like a, well, it is moss, but it just reminds me of like a big sheet of moss. But look, okay, so here it is. Let me get a little closer. Isn't that fun? I knew this part would be fun. Okay, so we have to get this all apart. I have to get this all apart. Okay, so right off the bat, here is it's a cute little Syngonium frosted heart. I think I'm just gonna grab them one at a time, and I feel so unorganized here. And you know, the funny thing is Rev, I read plants, he asked if I could, he said he didn't have a question, but he wondered if I could make my video without any cuts, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what he asked. No cuts in the video. Like no edits, no edits. And I thought, you know, I can try to do that, but you know, sometimes I need to cough or something, and I don't want you guys to hear my cough. So, there will be some edits in this, unfortunately, but I will do my best to not edit too much of this. All right, so I just wrote on there Syngonium frosted hearts, so I remember what this is. Let me grab my soil here. And I will show you, okay, I'll show you the process for one of these, but I'm not gonna we're not gonna get close-up looks at every single one of these. Yeah, so we'll do one together, and then I'm just gonna work, and you guys can just watch and listen. How's that sound? Does that sound okay? All right. Okay, so, well, see, this is a bad example because there's not a whole lot of roots to this one. So I'm trying to remove as much of the moss as I can. So this one just basically just has like one little root, one long root. So yeah, and then also something else I do is I have this great white, and this is I'm probably pronouncing this incorrectly, but it's like mycorrhizae, or anyway, this is supposed to be good for when you're transplanting. It's like maybe like a bacteria. I really should have looked it up to really know what it is. But it's supposed to make transplanting less of a shock for the plants. So I just take a little bit of it. It's just a powder, and I just sprinkle it right on the roots and into the pot. And then I just stick that root in there, covered with the myco, and then fill it in with soil. And I've got my mat, so it doesn't matter if I make a mess, because I am making a mess. And basically that's it. It's like super simple process. The hardest part will be removing the moss. Actually, the hardest part will probably be untangling all the roots of these plants. Okay, so this one is done. Frosted heart, Syngonium frosted heart. And then I am just setting them on a tray back here, and then the last step will be to water those in. And then actually the last step then will be to take them to my grow tent. Okay, so now before we move on, let me get to another question. Okay, so this is Sylvia Wood 6089. Hi, Sylvia. She asked, my question for you is, what is your favorite movie? And my favorite movie. So, I don't know that I actually have a favorite movie. I mean, I have a lot of favorites, but I can't like say that one is better than the other. You know, I don't know. So, let me show you before I continue with that question. So I'm sure that I will come across a few of these where this, I'm not sure what this is. It might be the silver sword, but no roots have grown. It does have a growth point on it. So this one is not, I'm not going to pot this one up. This one will go back into the bin. I'm just going to kind of like cradle it in some moss back here. And that one's just going to sit to the side until we're all done. Let's see here. And I'm sure I will end up breaking some roots. I think that's pretty much inevitable, but it's okay. Your plants will be okay if you break some roots. As long as you still have some roots with that plant, it's going to be just fine. Right here I have a silver sword, another silver. No, I had a frosted heart before, so this is my first silver sword. All right, so favorite movie. So I guess what pops into my head first would be like Forrest Gump. I really enjoy that movie. It has everything. It has like action, adventure, comedy, drama. It's just an overall just amazing movie, I think. It makes me cry. It makes me laugh. I like movies that like bring out emotions. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I guess Forrest Gump would be at the top of my list, but I like Twister, the movie Twister. The love of storms runs in my family. So yeah, my brother is a storm chaser. He chases tornadoes for a living, and yeah, we like storms. So I love the movie Twister. It's just kind of fluff movie, but it's pretty awesome. That would be up on my list. Like when we've decided we're gonna watch a movie, Derek will ask me, what do I want to watch? I always say comedy. I'm always up for a comedy. And another comedy I really like is Pineapple Express, I think it's called. Like movies like that. I think Seth Rogen is hilarious. I like watching that. I also like, oh, what's it called? Superbad. I just like silly movies like that. Yeah, just totally ridiculous, silly movies. What else? I guess I should have I really should have gave these more thought before sitting here doing this, but then I was like, well, I just want to say what just pops into my head. Yeah, just more off the cuff. So, what else? Favorite movies? I wish I could tell you like some sophisticated movies, but I don't know. I guess that's it. But I guess if I had to say like my absolute favorite, no, I can't. I can't say. I was going to say Forrest Gump, but it's not my absolute favorite because I like a lot of movies equally. So, but those are some of what I said. Those are some of my favorites. And after I'm done making this video and I'm, isn't that cute? Silver sword. And I'm editing, I'll be like, I should have said this. I'll come up, maybe I'll stick, a name of some others up here if I think of any others. Yeah, so, okay, moving on. I don't want this to be like a really long movie, so I want to kind of, a really long video, so I kind of want to move fast. All right, so next question is from SD Quilter, and that is Lynn and Jen. Do you really only water 2 days a week? No. Do you really only water 2 days a week still? Because I used to. I used to like 2 days a week, and that was in the back. Yeah, that was a while ago actually. So no, I do not only still water 2 days a week. How long does it take to do it? And about your, okay. So I am watering every single day now because I have the grow tents and things dry out. You wouldn't think so. You think the grow tents would stay nice and humid, but they actually dry out because I have, an exhaust fan on there. So if it gets too warm in the tent, that exhaust fan turns on and it pulls out the hot air, but it also pulls out the humidity, so it dries off. It dries out in there pretty fast. So basically I am watering something in the grow tent every day. Now I'm still doing 3 days a week up here, up in these rooms. So like on Wednesdays, and Nora's here, she's sniffing all the plants here. You may eventually see, you saw her little tail there. On Wednesdays, I do this room and the room behind you, which is my living room. On Thursdays, I do family room and bedroom, and on Fridays, I do my office. So I still keep a weekly schedule with those, like once a week for those, but the grow tent is multiple days during the week. That's just what it is, because it just dries out with that exhaust going. It just dries out so fast. So I sprinkle down some mycorrhizae. All right, next question. How long does it take to do it? So I would say like on Wednesdays when I do this room, it takes like when I do this room and the room behind you, it takes maybe, it depends. Like if I am just watering, like with no fertilizer, it goes pretty fast. Like maybe, I don't know, like half hour maybe, not very long. If I have to add fertilizer, it just takes a little bit longer. So maybe like 45 minutes tops on fertilizer days, half hour on non-fertilizer days. And that's why I break it up into 3 days up here, because otherwise it would be a few hours, I guess, if I had to do everything, or it would just, yeah, it's just easier for me to break it up. So, and by the way, these will eventually be in the shop, in my plant shop. And if you don't know, I have a plant shop called The Pink Trellis, and it's thepinktrellis.com if you want to buy some plants from me. Okay, about your plant shop, about my plant shop. Right now you're selling 2 or 3 pages worth of plants once a week. Do you foresee that increasing anytime soon? And the answer to that is no. Right now, what I've been doing is, I was uploading new plants into the plant shop every 2 weeks, and then I changed it to weekly because I have so much stuff. And and if you don't know, I always make a video showcasing the plants that are in the shop for that week. But I don't do that with every upload. I do like with every other upload. So the weeks that I do my video showing the plants, I make that a bigger upload. So I upload 40 plants on video weeks. The opposite week, I am doing 20. My plan is to do 20, half. And so the reason I don't foresee increasing it is because it is just me running the show with my plant shop, with my plants. I mean, I'm the only one taking care of all of these guys, doing all of this. And it's just, if I find 40 is doable. It's just more manageable for me. So basically for my mental health, I don't exceed 40 plants in an upload. And yeah, so that's why I don't foresee increasing that unless I get some help with it. But I am I kind of don't want help because I'm the type of person who's like, I can do this the right way. And I'm sure I could teach my husband and my son exactly how to like package plants and stuff. And I know they would do a great job, but I don't know. I just want to do it myself. I feel like I just have more control over things. So yeah, so that's why it will just continue to stay. The amount uploading that it has been. So isn't that cute? That is the Syngonium panda. So pretty. So that was our first Syngonium panda. All right, moving on. Next question. So Maida4183 said, love the Hoya. Can you please do a pest control and care video for Linearis? And I don't know if that was for the Q&A, this Q&A video, but I included it. Sure. Not recently, but I have done a Hoya Linearis video in the past. I think it was how to propagate, but I think I also included some care with that one. So if you want to go back and look for that video, there might be some care. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it again. But yeah, I mean, I could do another one. I do need to do more propagations of Linearis, so I could do that and then include care tips and pest control. I personally have not had any issues with the Linearis and pests. Knock on wood, knock on wood. I would assume, well, I think I've read about people having issues with like mealybugs on them. I feel like mealybugs would probably be pretty easy to eradicate from a Linearis. Yeah, mealybugs for me, I feel like they're the easiest to get rid of. And the thing with mealybugs is you really need to change the soil. You can't just like spray down the plant. You have to you totally have to replace the soil, remove the soil, and spray your plant. And that has done the trick for me anytime I have encountered mealybugs. So yeah, another thing I think maybe linearis could have issues with spider mites. I think I could see that happening fairly easily. And once again, my pest control method is to, if I see pests, so not only treating it with a pesticide or whatever method you use, you need to repot the plant. You just, because those bugs go into the soil too, so you got to do the whole thing. You can't just spray. Yeah. Next. Duncan page 1556 asked, question, your best vacation? Such a fun question. A lot of these are fun questions. So my best vacation. So honestly, I don't really like to go on vacation. I am a homebody type person, and going on vacation feels like work to me. I mean, the idea of it, it kind of has a romantic, it's like vacations, you have this oh, I'm going to Europe and it's just going to be so perfect and yeah, you have this romanticized idea of what the vacation is going to be like. And in my experience, vacations are work. It's I always feel like I need a vacation from my vacation when I get back. So I don't know. I guess I just don't like change in my routine and stuff. So vacations are not my favorite, but you didn't ask me that. You asked me, what is my favorite vacation? So anyway, the reason I mention all that is because we don't go on a lot of vacations because I just don't like vacations. But some recent ones we've been on, we used to live in California, so we went back to California a couple years. It's been 2 years now, I think, since we've actually taken a vacation. That was the last one we went on, and I wouldn't classify that in my favorites, but before that, we went to the Grand Canyon, which is awesome. If you've never been to the Grand Canyon and you have the opportunity, definitely. Look at the size of this root. Look at that. That was a fun vacation. We didn't go down all the way to the bottom of the canyon, I guess. But we did ride the mules, but just on trails, not down to the bottom. And that was a lot of fun. And on the way to the destination on the mules, it was great. On the way back, a thunderstorm got us, and it was the scariest. It was scary. That was so scary. It was like a bad thunderstorm, really, really loud thunder and lightning, and it was terrifying. And even the mules got spooked, and this one lady, her mule, you know what, this is so long, I'm gonna cut that. I'm just gonna remove part of that. It's okay to do that, it doesn't hurt the plant. But her mule got spooked and it kind of ran off. I mean, it was pretty terrifying, but memorable, very memorable. We still talk about that vacation to this day. In fact, we were just talking about it last week. It came up. But yeah, that was a fun vacation. We did Yosemite. Not as memorable, nothing really memorable about that one. I guess our honeymoon, we went to St. Croix, the Virgin Islands. That was a pretty good vacation. That was the first time I flew. I am not a fan of flying, so that's another reason we don't do a lot of vacations, because most of the vacations that we can do are driving distance locations, because I don't like to fly. Yeah, so. Next, Rosalind Bercier 7, I probably pronounced that incorrectly. Roz, hi Roz, 7401 says, I was wondering if you still have your Snow Queen and Mandula. If so, would you consider propagating them for sale in your shop? And I do, right here, Snow Queen. I still have my Snow Queen, and she is, yes, could definitely be propagated and will be propagated for the shop. And I do still have the Mandula, which is in my family room. And that one, I am planning to propagate again, because in the winter, I've noticed pothos really suffer in the winter time. Like you lose, I do, lose quite a few leaves. They turn yellow. So all the new growth I get in the summertime, I chop it. I chop it back, and then I just kind of start over. It just starts over again. So yes. Annette M6505. I have a question. How long does it take to grow a small Syngonium elbow to mature stage? And when can you start propagating it? So it doesn't take long with Syngonium. They are such fast growers, probably my fastest growing plants of all. So time-wise, so let me think. So when I propagate, when I cut Syngonium, I would say within a month, it is to the point of being ready to sell, just because their roots just grow so freaking fast, so fast. But to grow it to a mature stage, it's gonna take, it depends on what you consider, how big the plant is, when it's considered mature. They mature very fast. Syngonium are awesome. If you don't have Syngonium, you totally should add some to your collection. They are just so easy, so incredibly easy. And so beautiful. So beautiful, Syngonium panda. Yeah, and you can start propagating them pretty fast. All you need is, let's see if I can, oh, here's more of these really long roots here. You just need, where it's long enough that you can grab a node off of that plant. And you don't even need a leaf. Like I said, these were added to that bin with no leaves. It was just nodes. So yeah, as long as you have a node, and hopefully you understand what a node is. But basically, on a Syngonium, the node would be, see, these are not big enough yet to propagate. So yeah, you need and I don't have anything right here to show you. I don't have any Syngonium close, but maybe I can insert some video here of where the node is. And yeah, I don't know. The plant needs to be a fairly big size in order for you to start propagating it. But yeah, maybe I'll grab one of the propagations I'll be selling, So it's not like a super, it's still a starter plant, but there should be a spot on that plant where you could cut and start another plant. And hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next question. I would like to know how to oh, this is Carolyn Stites. Hi, Gina. I would like to know how to propagate using sphagnum and how to avoid moldy moss. Mold is my issue. So I have always encountered when I started this bin with this moss and these propagations, I had mold. Mold started to form. And I am not sure if it is because of the plant, like there's like bacteria on the plant that goes into the sphagnum moss, or if it's the actual sphagnum moss that is why there's an issue with mold. So what I do in that case, so when this bin started getting mold, which it did, I just left the lid off of it, or like I didn't completely close that bin just so air could get in there, and that took care of the problem. The mold eventually like went away, and then I was able to close it again and the mold didn't come back. So I feel like it's just like whatever the mold is feeding off of, it exhausts that food. Like there's nothing, or I don't know if it's food, but there's nothing left for it that is to help it to grow. So it just kind of like works itself out. Does that make sense? So if it is the moss, I would think something that might help would be to boil the moss before you use it. But if it's not, if it's the actual plant, like you're cutting, that is what is causing the mold, then you just you have to let it just work itself out. And yeah, that's what I do. That's what I did. And it does. Eventually it like stops, the mold stops. So if it happens, you can do what I did and give more fresh air to your propagation. And I'm losing track here. Yeah, hopefully I answered that. I'm not sure. Yeah, just know that mold it's not just you. It happens to myself. I'm sure it happens to a lot of people. But it's just, you just don't give up on it. Just give more air circulation to that container, whatever situation you're using, and eventually it should work itself out. All right, next. Okay, so Sage Willow Lisa, we already answered one of your questions, but you had some more questions. So how long have you been providing planty content? So I started this channel in February 2022. So it'll be 3 years next February. And basically I started with the planty content on Instagram before this. So I mean, I don't post a lot on Instagram, but when I do, it's plant stuff. So it kind of started there. So it was like before that, like maybe 2019, I think. How long have you owned plants? So I have owned plants for many years. Yeah, I had plants in college, and that would be 1992 till 1995. That's how long so I would say 1990. So I guess you can do the math. But yeah, that's when I got my first plants, and that was at college. What is your fave plant genus? Least fave. So my favorite, that's so hard. That is difficult. Okay, I guess I will say Hoya is my favorite, but I really love succulents and cacti. I really love begonias. What else do I really love? Syngoniums. Scindapsus. I'll say Hoya because that's what I have the most of, Hoya, so I guess that's my favorite if I have the most of it. But it's so close. It is so close between several genus of plants. My least favorite, philodendrons. Yeah. Sorry, Rev. I know that's... Rev loves the philodendrons, but they are my least favorite. But I do like trailing philodendrons. I am a big fan of trailing philodendrons. I'm just not like a huge fan of climbing philodendron. I don't know. I think it's because they get so big, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I do like my silver sword. But yeah, I would say, okay, so it's not that I don't like them. It's that they're just not like at the top of my list of favorites. So yeah, so philodendrons, least favorite. Hoya's favorite. Which was your first plant? Which is your oldest plant? So my first plant was probably an first plant was an African violet. And my oldest plant, gosh. And you know what? We moved, okay, so we lived in Southern California for 15 years. And before that, we lived in Indiana. And I had plants when we lived in Indiana. I forgot about that. I had quite a few plants. I had a lot. I had like a little plant stand, and I had a lot of plants. I mean, not like I have now, but a lot to me would have been like 10 plants back then. So, but the only one I can really remember having back then was a bromeliad. I remember that one. I love that plant. So we've moved several times. So we lived in Southern California, and all my plants, I think I sold every single one of those plants when we moved out of Southern California and we moved to the East Coast. So then we were in Connecticut, and I did get some plants there. Oh, you know what? I did bring one plant with me from at least one that I can remember. It was a fiddle leaf fig. It was a big, like really big fiddle leaf fig. I brought that one with me to Connecticut. And then when we moved out of Connecticut to here, to Colorado, I brought it with me here, but then I ended up selling it. So I suppose that would have been my oldest plant if I still had it, but I can't remember if, hi Nikki, here's Nikki, right there. That's Nikki. Someone asked if I have pets. That's another question. It might be one of your questions that we're working on right now. I think it is, but yeah, I do have pets. I have Nikki and Nora, which you saw her tail earlier. 2 cats, that's all we have, 2 cats. But yeah, I really don't know what my oldest plant would be. I guess probably a Hoya, but I don't know which Hoya. Maybe a Crimson Queen, maybe? Yeah. Which plant medium do you use the most? It would be soil. Do you use leca and or pon? Never have I used leca. I have used pon. Is your pon DIY or do you buy it already mixed up? I DIY'd it when I used it. I don't really use it anymore. But I do also have some like bagged lechuza pon. Let's see. Are there any specific plants or plant genus that you will not have in your collection anymore? Why? That would be Calathea, and because they just didn't do well in this environment. Now that I have a grow tent, I would have them again, keeping them in the grow tent, but I just don't have the space. So, yeah, I won't have Calathea ever again. Plus they get spider mites a lot. How did your public plant journey begin? And that would be because of my brother, storm chaser Aaron J. Jack. He motivated me to give this a try. He had his YouTube, he still does, has his YouTube channel, and I went on storm chases with him, and he would do lives, YouTube lives, and it just looked like so much fun. And he has this really awesome community, and I thought, that's amazing. What could I do that I could do something like that? And I thought, well, plants. I never really watched YouTube until probably, let's see, I didn't watch it in Connecticut, never watched it in California. I know, lame, right? I didn't start watching YouTube till we moved here, so it was probably 2020 when I started watching YouTube. It looked like fun, and I thought, well, if my brother can do it, I can do it. So yeah, I gave it a try, and here we are. Here we are. Okay, non-plant related questions. Same person. What sign are you? Scorpio. Do you have any other hobbies? If so, what? If thrifting is considered a hobby, I love to thrift. I love to hunt at the thrift stores for things. So I guess I would consider that a hobby. Bird watching, I enjoy that. I have like bird feeders up in my yard, and just removing some of these longer roots. I think that's considered a hobby, and I think that's it. Where did you grow up? I grew up in Indiana, Northwest Indiana. So half of my childhood was in St. John, Indiana, which is really close to Illinois, Northwest Indiana. And then half of my childhood was LaPorte, Indiana, which is close to South Bend, Notre Dame, in that area, LaPorte. Do you have children? Yes, I have one. He's not really a child anymore. He's going to be 25 this year. Do you have any pets? We did that. If so, what do you have? Do you do any sort of work besides sharing planty content on social media and working with plants? I do not. This is it. This is my full-time job. What did you do work job prior to social media? So before this, I was selling macrame art on Etsy. And then before that, stay-at-home mom. Before that, I worked for an advertising company as a proofreader, proofreading advertisements. And then before that, I worked at a pet shop, which I would say it was my favorite out-of-the-house job I ever did. working at the pet shop. Love animals. So yeah, that was fun. That was so fun. Before that, I worked at a library, like checking out books to people. And then before that, I worked in a library at a elementary school. So my mom was an elementary school librarian, and one of the librarians in her same school district was sick, and they had to find a replacement, temporary replacement for her. So I took over, and that was a lot of fun. I love working with the kids. Reading stories to them was the best part. Checking out books is like boring, but when I got to where we had like a story pit, and I got to read fun books to the little kids, and I think the older kids, we would do like Goosebumps type stories, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then before that, I worked at an ice cream shop. That was my very first job, was an ice cream shop. It was called, or it's still there in LaPorte. It's Tasty Cream. It's like basically, it's soft serve. It's basically like a Dairy Queen, but it's not. It's Tasty Cream, and I worked there for many years, like probably 9 years, like all through high school and even like summers off of college. I worked there. And yeah, look at all these roots. Chop some of these off. Yeah, so that is my job history for you guys. What do you like to do to relax and for fun? So what do I like to do? I like to sit outside and watch the birds. That's what I like to do to relax and for fun. And also, I like to sit at my computer and watch YouTube videos. That is another de-stressor for me. So whether it is thrifting videos or planty content videos, yeah, that's what I do to de-stress. All right. Gosh, we have a lot of propagations. Oh, let's see. Michaela Allison 3789 says, would you ever have any Rhipsalis in your store? So I very recently did a video of my Rhipsalis collection, which is, you can kind of see some of them kind of hanging down here. So they're on shelves right behind me. And I did that video recently. Would I have them in my store? Definitely. I have sold them in my store in the past. I need a drink. I'm like struggling. My voice is struggling. I'm like, take a drink. So I have had them in my store in the past, and yes, definitely I will again in the future. So I was, I was not propagating them because of lack of space, but I'm going to reveal some really interesting news right here, right now. So you know I have my grow tent. It's in the basement. It's where I keep all my propagations for the store. Well, I still have the one, but now I have 2 grow tents. And they're both 8-foot by 8-foot grow tents. It's funny because Chris and I were recently talking about this in the comments, and I mentioned that Derek was asking me if I want another grow tent because my grow tent is so filled, so full, that I could use another grow tent, but I didn't want to. I didn't want more responsibility. But I finally decided that I could really use a second grow tent. So yeah, I have 2 grow tents now. So one of the grow tents, the original grow tent, has Hoya. It's all Hoya, And then the second grow tent is aeroids and begonias and pretty much everything else. So yeah, so I do have space now to propagate the Rhipsalis, so I will be doing that. And I will also be giving you a little tour of both of the tents very soon. Also, do you know how many plants you have? I don't. Like how many plants I have in my collection? I don't know. I think last time I counted, it was in the 300. And I know it's more than that now, but yeah, I didn't count. Maybe I'll count and I'll put a number up here for you guys, how many I have in my collection. And I probably, well, I know, I will not include propagations in that count, because if I did, it would totally be over 1,000 plants, I'm sure. Let's see. Amanda Urbanski 1122 says, hi Gina, I love your videos collection and grow tent. I'm inspired to get my own grow tent. I was wondering why you chose to create a website and sell plants that way rather than Etsy. What are the pros, cons of Etsy versus your own website? So yeah, we're just talking about grow tents. So the reason I chose to have my own website is because, like I said, I did sell on Etsy. I was selling some macrame art on there, and so I do have experience with Etsy. You do get a lot of traffic through Etsy. But you also have to give money to Etsy, so they take a cut. And I figured I already have this YouTube channel, so I already have like an audience. Like, I don't know, I just felt like I could do just as well on my own as I would do on Etsy, and probably even better on my own, because I'm not competing with, I'm not competing with anyone, even though I'm competing with every other plant seller out on the internet, but I'm not, like if you're on Etsy and you're looking at plants, you can click on my plants, but then Etsy will show you other plants. Like you could purchase from this other person. So I don't have competition that way. But yeah, I figured why not? Just do it on my own. I can, basically, my advertising comes through YouTube. So I don't need Etsy for the advertising. Okay, Kelsey 9605, do you have children? Yes, I have one. He'll be 25 this year. A son. Do I have a husband? Yes, Derek. Derek is my husband, and if you've, he's been on here in the past, and we also have a thrifting channel together, which we haven't posted any videos recently on the thrifting channel. But we're hoping to maybe get back into it. But I don't know, now that I have this plant shop, like really busy with this plant shop, I may not have time to do the thrifting channel anymore. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I have Derek. He is my husband. And when did you start your plant journey? Well, my plant journey, like really collecting a lot of plants, I would say started in 2019. Yeah, 2019. But I had plants way before that. But really like obsessed with plants, 2019. And this is the last one. This is not really a question. It's I Read Plants. Rev said, see nothing impossible about combination plants in one pot. If you want, you can do it anything. So yes, Rev has been trying to get me to make a combination pot of different genuses in one, like plant them all together. And he does that to save space. And I think this comment was in reference to having all of these different genuses here. Well, actually, it's just 2 genuses, but it's a mix of plants. And I totally could make one pot. I'm not going to do it, but yes, it is possible to do that. So yeah, that is all the questions. I think I got them all. Hopefully I didn't miss any. And I still have all of this to do, but we're going to call it quits here because this is going to be a very long video, and I don't want a very long video. So, but here's what we've done. Let me move this stuff out of the way, get a little closer to you. I will just finish this stuff up on my own because it definitely has to be finished up. And then when I'm done with all of this, I'm going to reuse this moss again. I'm going to stick it back into the bin and put more cuttings from something else in there. Here's what we've done. We have this tray, this whole tray. So this is mostly silver sword, Philodendron silver sword, and Syngonium frosted heart, and Syngonium panda. I don't think I got any of the batik out. I think that's the only one I didn't get any of yet. I will. And then I have this. So all of these and what I haven't done yet will make it into the shop. They will be in my plant shop, thepinktrellis.com. Here's a batik. Let me just show you real quick. That's one of the batiks, really pretty. So yeah, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from me. Hope it was educational. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks so much for watching. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.